Good morning to you, friends, and welcome on in. And there is a lot to talk about. CNN, of course, leading with the boat strike and the double tap on the narco terrorists. This is interesting because I don't see on CNN that they're actually reporting the very latest, which is that it turns out it looks like all indications are that the double tap was actually justified. We're going to get into this. You know the story. The Trump administration has been taking out these drug boats headed to America from Venezuela back on September 2nd. The story is we took out a boat. There were two survivors. They're in the boat. They were clinging to some debris when we sent a second missile and took them out. Even though they could be considered, this is what the Democrats say and some others, say that these guys were no longer considered a threat. Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, have been accused of war crimes because these enemy combatants were no longer considered a threat. Well, now we have some very big news.
Tonight, new information. According to a source familiar with the incident, the two survivors climbed back onto the boat after the initial strike. They were believed to be potentially in communication with others and salvaging some of the drugs. Because of that, it was determined they were still in the fight and valid targets. A JAG officer was also giving legal advice.
That's kind of weird, isn't it?
Well, that says a whole lot. The story looks a little different.
You know what, Joan? This sounds like exactly what we said days ago.
Yes,
when this whole thing came out. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, so these two narco terrorists are in the water. They're surrounded by debris. They probably got drugs floating all over the place. But and this is what we said. How do we not know that they were in communication with, the other bad guys in Venezuela or maybe somewhere in the sea or the ocean around them? And so it made all the sense in the world. My biggest issue with this whole thing was really we spent a couple $100,000 missile on two guys. Should have just let the sharks eat them. But whatever. I have no problem with it. But the left, they have been accusing Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, of war crimes. And so I think now it is fascinating. Last night, we find out that, yes, indeed, just as Joan and I said, Sam, you probably said it too, that these guys were still in the game. They were trying to keep the drugs, and they're trying to figure out a way to get another boat to them so that they could continue the delivery. I mean, it's just so obvious.
Yeah. Do people not understand that once they get back, if somehow they swam ashore and made it back to Venezuela or something, that they would be killed for not getting the drugs into the United States anyway?
I mean, Trump, 3 words from Donald Trump, right? This is war. And it is war. But only in America would you have people that are, and people on the political left, would you have them feeling sorry for the narco terrorists that want to kill Americans?
This goes back to when Pete Hegseth was actually confirmed by the Senate. He talked about having a lethal military, that the purpose was not to be DEI correct or
politically correct.
Any of that. It's to be a lethal military and to make decisions and meet the goals.
He wanted to bring lethality back, Joan.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is what we all voted for. Is it not?
It is absolutely what we voted for. By the way, Pete Hegseth is, I don't know if he's commented on this yet. The only thing that I would say is that if that is the case, that these guys had climbed back onto the wreckage, they're trying to gather the drugs, they're trying to get in contact with other narco terrorists to save them and continue the delivery. If that is the case, release the video. I mean, that seems like a no-brainer. The truth will shut up the morons. And I do believe the people that are standing up for the narco terrorists, I do believe that they are absolute morons. Here's Stephen Miller.
The mission is take out the boat, stop the drugs, keep this vessel and its cargo from reaching our shore using lethal means. And our amazing military, the heroes of the United States Armed Forces, did exactly that. President Trump, Secretary Hegseth, and this entire government are committed to finally using our military to defend our people, our borders, our family, our culture, our history, our heritage. to defend the United States. We're not going off running around the Middle East trying to build democracies in caves and deserts and in distant sands that have never known democracy. We're using the military to protect American security, American prosperity, American lives right here where we live, where our children live.
Tonight,
I like how Stephen Miller puts that. You know, we're protecting our culture, we're protecting our heritage, we're protecting our children, so on and so forth. You know, there's a lot of people on the political left that will say, "Oh, that's so, what is it, jingoistic?" It's like, what? Just shut up. There's nothing wrong, by the way, with preserving and protecting the American way of life. There's nothing wrong with trying to protect our people. There's nothing wrong with trying to protect our culture. There isn't. I mean, good Lord, look at what is happening in Minnesota with all of these Somalians that now Donald Trump is saying that he's going to go after, but which I love, by the way, and we're going to get into that. But you know what? When other nations are attacking us, whether it's with drugs or illegal alien gang members and terrorists and murderers and all that kind of stuff, when other nations are attacking us one way or another, we do need to protect our country and we do need to protect our people. And that is exactly what Donald Trump was talking about yesterday.
I don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release. No problem. You know, we stopped every boat we knock out. We save 25,000 American lives.
That's right.
And if you look at our numbers, the drugs coming in through sea are down 91%. I'm surprised there's 9%. I don't know who's doing the 9%, but it's down 91, and we're going to start very soon on land, and I'm sure you're thrilled to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that the president needs to do. He is saying that right now, if there's a second video, that they will release it at some point. And I do hope that the video does exonerate Pete Hegseth and the president. Now, the question is, all right, so let's just say, I'm sorry, I don't know if you could see that on Super Talk TV, but I just looked up at the TV, Joan and Sam, and the headline was Donald Trump preparing to, send in ICE or authorities into Minnesota's Somalian community.
Yes.
Is it wrong that I just smiled at that?
Not at all.
I mean, listen, I don't want to bounce all over with a million different topics this morning, but the amount of fraud that we've been talking about it on Nashville's Morning News and other shows have as well. The amount of fraud and Ilhan Omar. Oh, my God. Ilhan Omar is out there trying to say, oh, it's not the Somalian people. We've done nothing wrong. The safeguards were taken down and all of these other things, completely skirting any kind of responsibility or accountability from the Somalian community. It is crazy. Anyway, so we'll get to that. As I said, I've got a lot on my mind today.
Well, it's intertwined with what Hegseth and Trump are doing when it comes to protecting our people here and the way of life and the culture. It ties in the same way with going into Minnesota and rooting out these Somalians.
Well, you know what? I think I may have said something like this yesterday, or at some point this week. But you look at a lot of the things, a lot of the ills that we have here in America, and they can all be tied to illegal immigration. I mean, look at the fraud that we've seen in Minnesota. Look at the crime rate. Look at the problems with a lot of our schools where we have these school districts where you have dozens and dozens and dozens of foreign languages spoke as the first language of these kids. So the more you look at it, the more you realize, you know what? You look at I think it was Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil said that a lot of the ills that we have here in America can be tied right back to illegal immigration. The problems with Medicaid, we've got that problem as well. So it is never ending. And so for President Trump, if he can figure out a way to stop all of this, one way at a time, one problem at a time, then absolutely. I mean, think about it. Joan, is there anything going on in the traffic?
Absolutely not. It's a really clear morning.
All right. So think about this. whether we're talking about illegal alien crime, right? Because we know that illegal aliens, there's a lot, and they're not obviously the only ones that are committing crime, but, violent crime. But we obviously know the fate of people like Laken Riley and Rachel Marin, right? So there's that. I did talk about this. There's also the issue with all of these truck drivers that have come into our country, and they give these guys who are illiterate literally in their own language, let alone ours. They can't read, they can't speak the language, they can barely drive, and they give them CDLs so that they can drive 18-wheelers. I mean, I could do an entire hour. I could do an entire show on this. And so now we're talking about the narco terrorists coming into our country with these drugs, and it's the same thing. So I like that Donald Trump says, oh, yeah, you know what? Do you know how many lives we are saving by blowing up these boats? We're saving a lot. We're saving a lot of American lives. Here's my question. If you have some of these bleeding heart morons out there that are saying, oh, my God, the narco terrorists, how dare we kill the narco terrorists? All right, so here's my question. Would you trade the narco terrorist life for the number of lives that they would ultimately kill with their drugs, right? I mean, isn't that the question? So if you're saying, and if you're pearl clutching and hand wringing over the lives of these narco terrorists, and here's the deal, regardless as to whether or not Donald Trump broke the law, I get it. I don't think he did, but whatever. But if you can save hundreds or thousands of lives by taking out one or two narco terrorists, then that's what we got to do. And anybody who is pearl clutching about the lives of the narco terrorists, then they clearly don't give two craps about the American lives that have been saved by taking out the narco terrorists.
Or I would even add on to that, do you care who kills them? Because if they return alive, they are likely to be killed by their own cartel people. So does the pulling of the trigger matter to you more if it costs American lives?
There's a really funny thing. Are we allowed to do this? Okay, so Joan, all right, I'm going to play this from Jack Keane. General Jack Keane, real quick. He was on Fox News talking about why we need to do this.
So if the target is people or it's a facility, and both of those are important, the objective is to kill the people and destroy the facility. If the target is a boat and people, the mission is to destroy the boat and kill the people. In about 25% of these kind of attacks, we do reattack. Either if the facility was the objective, to destroy the rest of the facility. If the people is the objective, to kill the rest of the people. That's just the reality of what we're dealing with. And people got to get their head around this, and they're misinterpreting what is taking place here.
General Jack Keane, Fox News. So Joan showed me something really funny this morning. We can't play it on the radio.
But it's too funny.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Can you put that up on your Twitter, Joan?
Oh, yeah. I think actually I already did.
You did.
I'll check it out, yeah.
It is so funny. Go follow Joan on Twitter. It is, what is it, Joan P. Jones?
No, it's Joan Jones WTN.
Joan Jones WTN. So you know what happens, Joan, if you ever get fired, you got to start a whole new...
I know.
Anyway,
I
whatever.
know, it's terrible.
So it's the narco terrorists. They're blown out of the water, and then they are clinging to a big bag of drugs in the water. It's like AI generated. And so then they go and they go to Donald Trump, who is sitting in the Oval Office. And he's on the phone, and he says, release the shark. Release the shark now. And so a big helicopter comes and drops a big shark in the water right next to the narco terrorists, taking them out. It is, if you want a good laugh this morning, go look at that video. It is really funny. Made me laugh. Put me in a good mood. Nothing makes me happier than a narco terrorist being eaten by a shark or blown up by a missile. Hey, you know, it's National Cookie Day.
So did you bring us some cookies?
No, I did not, because I just found out about that. Joan, real quick, what's your favorite cookie?
Probably chocolate chip.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, chocolate chip with nuts or...
No. Don't.
That's a
definitely
sin.
not nuts.
Okay. I'm a
cookie.
nutty kind of guy. I'm going to be honest. Chocolate chips and nuts.
Why am I not surprised?
Sam, what is your favorite cookie? Real quick.
M&M. So like.
Same thing as a chocolate chip, but with M&M's.
Chocolate chip cookie with M&M's.
Yeah, that would be my favorite. Yeah, which saying it out loud sounds kind of lame.
It actually does sound kind of lame. I'm going to be honest. You know, I'm your biggest fan and I'm your biggest supporter, Sam, but you're kind of lame at times. All right, it is a 5:22 on Nashville's Morning News. The super text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Watch us on Super Talk TV and check us out if you want to. We're on Facebook, YouTube. We're on X, 997WTN.com. By the way, stream us anywhere. And the great thing about Super Talk TV, if you miss the 5 o'clock hour, which is my favorite hour, if you miss it, you can always go back and watch it whenever you want because it's all right there in all of its glory on YouTube. It is 5:23. Joan's got the news coming up at 5:30. Joan.
Yeah, up ahead here, we have some potentially icy weather moving in tonight. The details of the timing and what we can expect and all of that with Stefano coming up here at 5:30.
Yeah. You have my permission
to
use the phrase, we have some potentially dicey, icy weather coming up. If you want to use that throughout the morning, dicey, icy.
Do I have to credit you for it?
No, I wish you wouldn't, actually. But if you want to use that, you go right on ahead.
You know what, Dan? I'll consider that.
You know what? Send it to Stefano Di-Pietro.
Oh yeah, and then have him use it in a forecast.
He used my spooktacular, a couple of weeks ago for Halloween. So we'll see if Stefano would use the phrase "dicey, icy weather."
How about you send it to him?
No, it's okay. You go right on ahead. Nashville's Morning News. You know what, Joan? I think I figured this out.
What is it?
I think I understand now my hostility towards like the bumper music that Sam is playing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is this from that, just very quickly, because I don't want this to take over, but is this from that rotator that we like to say in the industry? Is this from that rotator that is in the computer there?
Yes.
So here's my problem, Joan.
What is it?
The music that the company has put into that rotator, it sucks. I think that's what it is.
I think that
the company.
Yeah, I think that it's just that you have a thing about opposing the company. Do you see what I'm saying?
Are you saying I'm becoming a malcontent?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
You're just anti-establishment, that's all.
I will admit, for whatever reason, in the last year or so, I find myself being a little bit more of a malcontent. But that's okay. All I'm saying is that the company provided music, Christmas music, I don't believe it might be good if you're bring that back up. Are you able to bring that back up? Look, if I'm sitting in front of a fireplace on like a big bearskin rug and we've got the Christmas the Christmas tree going on and the stockings hanging over the fireplace and all that crap, then maybe this makes sense.
Do you own a bearskin rug?
I would like to file that under things I wish I'd never imagined.
I plead the fifth on that, Joan.
Uh-huh.
But this is not keeping up with like my energy level, and that's the problem. I don't think this is very good. So here's what we're going to do. I'm
pretty sure it's Kenny G, man.
How dare you?
Anyway, so I think here's what we're going to do. I think what we're going to do is no more of that rotator, which, by the way, if you don't know what a rotator is, folks, basically it's a button. You hit the button and music comes up. We don't even know what it is.
Oh, it's not something in your shoulder?
No.
Gotcha.
So, Joan. So we're going to come up with our own. Me, Joan, and Sam. And Joan, if this works, we'll even tell Jane that she can bring in her own bumper music too. So
oh my gosh,
we're going to bring in our own bumper music. I don't want you to play that rotator anymore. I'm going to start.
I'm so ready for this.
I'm going to start next hour. I'm going to play mine. We're not going to do it every break. We're just going to sprinkle in. And I think the one that I'm going to bring in, I think is going to drive people nuts. So
I think mine's going to shock you both.
Prepare to be triggered next hour with my first choice of my bumper music for Christmas music.
Okay.
It's going to shock. It's going to be shock and awe. Now, here's what I bet. Jones is going to be sappy. Sam is going to be quirky, and I'm going to be the most mainstream of all of us.
I would prefer the term edgy.
Whatever. Anyway, so there you go.
Speaking of Christmas.
What's that?
It's speaking of Christmas.
Oh yeah, you've got a piece of audio you want to play. You want to play from a guy named Pete Holmes, who is a comedian.
Mm-hmm. I think you and Joe need to hear it. It's that time of year.
Sure.
Happy New Year. I know what month it is. I know that's a confusing thing to hear outside of January, but I love saying Happy New Year. I go year round. I bring my Happy New Year's year round because everybody loves it. Happy New Year. Just feels good to say. Doesn't matter where you're from, your religion, your country, everybody celebrates it. It's not like Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas can go either way, and I hate to offend people. So this whole last holiday season, I didn't let out one Merry Christmas. That's true. Instead, I said, may the birth of the one and only true God.
All right, let's go.
Jesus Christ, bestow a blessing of grace and peace upon your household, to the belittlement of every other false religion.
Wow. I like that. Very good, Sam. I like that. By the way, I'd be willing to bet, I don't know, does Pete Holmes, that comedian there, who I've never heard of, but does he do a Trump impersonation? Because he sounds like he could. Joan, back me up on this.
Yeah.
He sounds like he could do one heck of a Trump impersonation. By the way, I've been accused of fake news.
Again.
Oh.
Yeah. So in the previous segment, just real quick, and then I got some Ilhan Omar audio that I love. But in the last segment, I said that I checked into the YouTube chat and I said good morning to everyone. And then nobody said good morning back. Well, apparently it takes a second for the whole thing to update.
Okay. So
after I called out the entire YouTube chat for not saying good morning to the host, apparently everybody did. It took a second for the thing to update. And so now I apologize officially to all the people on the YouTube chat. Because you folks know how much I appreciate each and every one of you. Except the haters and the anti-Semites, which on occasion, they jump in there. Them I don't like. Hey, you want to hear some Ilhan Omar? So y'all know what's going on in Minnesota. Is there a way that you can, Sam, you're pretty clever. Is there a way that we can combine the words Minnesota and Somalia? Somalia soda? That's what we can do.
Mini Somalia.
There you go. So, because y'all know Somalians, what have we found out in the last, I don't want to reset the whole thing, but if you've been paying attention to this show and you've been paying attention to the news, you know a couple of different things. Number one, that in Minnesota, they have rampant fraud when it comes to immigration. You've got all of these people who are here and they came into this country, they're married to their brothers, they're married to their sisters, and just a lot of immigration fraud going on among the Somalian community in Somalia. Right?
See, no, that definitely works.
Yeah, Somalia.
I wish it was just the fraud, too. The other day, I don't know if you saw this, Quaileen Ibram abducted a 12-year-old in Minnesota and raped her. And then the St. Paul Islamic Center wrote a letter of community support saying he is not assimilated into non-Somali culture.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that makes it all okay.
You know, they ought to take that dude behind the back of whatever federal courthouse or local courthouse they have and just put a bullet in his head. Like, I don't know why. I mean, honestly, well, no, that's not what they would do in Somalia. So the raping of a 12-year-old is what they do in Somalia. So they ought to just take this guy back of the courthouse and just put a bullet in his head or send him back to Somalia, whatever. Because listen, if that's what he wants to do, they accept that in Somalia. So, dude, go back to Somalia. Honestly. So then we find out about all of that immigration fraud. Then we find out a lot of the fraud related to the COVID funds. And depending on what timeline we're talking about, if we're talking about, I think the last year, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. If we're talking about the last 5 to 10, we're talking about billions of dollars. And so President Trump has been talking about, and I guess that's going to start today, ICE and whatever other agencies and authorities are going to go into the Somalian community in Somalia, and they're going to start finding these people. And if they are here illegally, or if they are, ultimately found guilty of fraud, their ass is going to be thrown in jail or sent back to Somalia, which is exactly what needs to happen. Because I like what Donald Trump says. What good are they? Like, I don't know about you, friends. I am sick and tired of getting the worst of the rest of the world, right? Because isn't that ultimately what we're getting? And I understand it's not everybody who comes in. I understand that, so I'm not casting a wide net. But let's be honest. I mean, we're getting the worst of the rest of the world. And so we've got all these Somalians coming in, and they have absolutely no problem ripping off the American taxpayer, because that is exactly what they found in Somalia. And so Ilhan Omar, she is on CNN, and they're asking her about all of this as ICE is launching their operations in New Orleans and Somalia.
First of all, federal prosecutors say 59 people have been investigated in these schemes so far. Americans at large stole tens of billions of forms of aid during the pandemic all over the country. Minnesota's fraud scandal stands out, according to federal auditors. What are you hearing from investigators right now?
Well, I've been following the cases closely as they've gone through the courts, and we know that there are more indictments possibly coming. I think that number might go up to 73 is what I'm hearing.
Okay. Can you shed any light on why the fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
Can you tell us why you married your brother? Like, I wonder, do you think Jake Tapper, Joan, would have the testicular fortitude to ask Ilhan Omar why she married her brother? Do you know what they ought to do?
Please.
Only if he wrote a book about it first.
Do you know what they ought to do? They ought to, President Trump ought to offer to pay for a DNA test. Here's what, I know what we do.
Man.
So here's what you do. Ilhan Omar, let's crowdfund this. You want to crowdfund this? So maybe what we do is we crowdfund an initiative where if Ilhan Omar will take a DNA test with her brother to ensure that they're not brother and sister, and if it turns out they are not brother and sister, then all of that money that was crowdsourced will go to Ilhan Omar's favorite charity, which no doubt is her own purse. But I think that would be a great idea. Don't you think that'd be a great idea? Let's just crowdsource all this money, take a DNA test. And by the way, if it turns out that she did marry her brother, well, then her ass goes back to Somalia. Because she has then committed a crime, right? Immigration fraud or whatever. And so if it's proven that she has committed a crime, then she not only is booted out of Congress, but she goes back to Somalia. I think that's a good idea. Joan, yay or nay? Joan's quiet. She wants nothing to do with this, apparently.
Boys, I just do the news. How am I doing?
I think what happened is that, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate.
Wow.
And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that...
So she's blaming the program, not the ones committing the fraud.
A lot of the guardrails did not get created.
Now, obviously, whatever the ethnic group, the actions of a few dozen should not impugn an entire community of thousands of people.
No. Oh, by the way, part of what's going on in Somalia is that you have people that the politicians, right? Like Jacob Fry, President Trump called the mayor of Somalia. Jacob Fry, I think he called him, what was it? Was it an idiot, a moron, something like that? Maybe not smart. And so part of the dynamic here, because you've got Tim Walz also out there defending the Somalian community, part of what's going on is that you can't win. It's all political because you've got such a massive Somalian community in Minnesota that you can't win any statewide election if you lose Minnesota and you've got Minneapolis. So you've got all of these Somalians, and I guess it'd be Minneapolis. And so if you have these people in Minneapolis and you lose that block of voters, then you're going to lose the election. So that's why everybody is kissing the collective butt of the Somalians. Donald Trump yesterday, let's see here. He was talking about Ilhan Omar, and this is a part of what the president said. Because, she has constantly been a thorn in the side of Donald Trump. And so he is now, of course, returning the favor. This is President Trump.
And all they do is complain, complain, complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with... go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution. All she does is complain about this country. Without this country, she would not be in very good shape. She probably wouldn't be alive right now. So Somalia is considered by many to be the worst country on earth. I don't know. I haven't been there. I won't be there anytime soon, I hope. But what Somalia, what the Somalian people have done to Minnesota is not even believable. It's not even believable. And a lot of it.
By the way, that is, of course, President Trump. I guess the president called the mayor of Minneapolis not a smart guy. And this is President Trump. This has become a very big issue. I've been talking about this. I've been talking about this the last couple of I don't know, whenever this immigration fraud story broke. Here is President Trump. What's the name of the Minnesota mayor? I don't think it's Jacob Frey. I think I'm getting Frey. Oh, it is Jacob Frey?
Yeah, and he called him a fool.
He called him a fool.
Yes.
The president also saying that he is not a smart guy.
The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is saying that he's actually proud to have the largest Somali community in the country, and his police chief.
Well, then he's a fool.
Well, his police chief is also saying.
I wouldn't be proud to have the largest Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. Look, these Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country.
All right, so there you go. So now the ICE is going in there. And by the way, here's the deal, is that it is very plausible that there are Somalians that are in there and they've come into our country and they're hardworking and they've set up businesses and they're not married to their relatives and they're not ripping off the government. So just make sure that, we don't cast too wide of a net. But listen, if that is what has been going on, and it is what has been going on in many of Somalia.
Somalia soda. Everybody's chiming in now. Yeah.
I like Somalia soda. Isn't that what I said at first? Was Somalia soda?
Possibly, but I got it from Snarkista in the YouTube chat.
Snarkista is one of my good friends. All right, so real quick. You were telling me that, I don't know if I buy this. Joan, yes or no? Do you buy this? Where Ilhan Omar, she has gone from, $35,000, $40,000 in debt to being $30 million in the
I buy
to the
that.
positive. You
Oh yeah.
So I grokked it to be accurate because we know Grok can pull all those sources. So in 2020, she was in debt approximately $65,000. She married whoever her current husband is then. Then she, in 2021, is worth $65,000 net worth. 2022, $115,000. 2023, $205,000. Okay, so at that point, she'd apparently bought some stakes in a winery, but however, that business was struggling over failed, deals and licenses.
Well, that's just so you know, you buy those businesses, that's how you launder money.
Well,
I saw Breaking Bad.
A 3,500% jump from 2023 into 2024, where her net worth is now approximated between $6 and $30 million.
Man, it pays to be in Congress, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. This is exactly, by the way, what Tim Burchett talks about when he talks about how you've got all these people in...
It's a dadgum sewer.
It's a dadgum sewer. He can't make a skateboard, but they can, get millions of dollars for being in Congress.